okay with that, too. Meghan McCain, get off The View. And welcome back to the show. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. We are joined in studio by the Minister, Stretch Sanders. He is planning on shutting down, by the way, Fremont Street on Martin Luther King Day because he is against this homeless ordinance taking place, and he's planning on getting arrested in doing it. This homeless ordinance that says you could be fined up to $1,000 and go to jail for up to 6 months if you're seen sleeping on the streets and you're homeless. We're going to get to that. We're also taking your calls. We were talking a little bit about the Trayvon Martin case. George Zimmerman suing the family for upwards of $100 million. I think we all have different opinions in studio on that. We're taking your phone calls. We're talking about racial divide. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation, 257-5396. I believe we have Jim waiting on the line. Jim, you're on with the minister. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Minister, how are you?
How you doing, Jim? Good morning.
I'm good. And listen, I don't want to sound, I'm not being confrontational with you at all because, my children, the way I taught my children to make friends is when you're making friends, you don't look at the color of their skin, where they go to church, or how much money they have. When you're making friends, there's two kinds of people, the ones you like, the ones you don't like. But I'm just curious about your definition, and maybe I'm wrong, but your definition was something of racism was a European man doing a person of color wrong. Do you believe that only Caucasians can be racist?
Well, that was not my definition. My definition is racism is race plus power, and I do believe that only European Americans, which you consider so-called Caucasians, can be racist. Can we all, as people of color...
You said prejudice plus power, Stretch.
Yes, thank you. Prejudice plus power. Now, can we all be prejudiced? Yes. And oftentimes, black people, when we speak out against our condition, we get called prejudice. But prejudice is to judge before the fact. We talk about our condition. We're not prejudiced. We're speaking upon what has happened to our people for the last 400 years. So when I talk about what has happened to black people, that's not prejudice. That's me describing history. Now, if I say I don't like Chris because Chris is white, and I don't have any, and I'm just personally attacking him, knocking his character, knocking this, and the root of that is prejudice, has nothing to do with historical fact, then yeah, that's prejudice. If I say all white people are racist, that's not prejudice. That is systemic. That's systemic racism. That's the power. We say society. Who is society? Yeah. Who makes up society? Who runs society?
Go ahead, Jim.
Black folks don't run society. No. White people run society. So that's my definition of racism and prejudice.
But you're not saying that only Caucasians can be racist, right?
I am. Yes.
No, but that's crazy.
Only racism is prejudice plus power. Black folks have no power.
Racism is one race thinking that only their race is correct.
Jim, with all respect, that's a definition you've made up. If you ask anybody who studied what racism is, from people of color to Tim Wise, who's a white scholar, to Jane Elliott, they will tell you from their white mouths, racism is not just having your race in power, but it's the prejudice behind it. It's a systemic issue. Do I believe every white person is racist? Of course not. Do I believe every institution is racist? Of course. That means police, education, banks, everything is racist because this country was founded off racism. We did not give the meaning to race. White people gave the meaning to race. So we talk about racial division. That's not black folks.
So let me ask you a question. And Jim, by the way, we appreciate
your... And I've got a scenario for you, Stretch, in a second.
We appreciate your phone call, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
And by the way, the number to call, 257-5396. That's 702-257-5396. Okay. Let me give you a scenario. I was robbed once at knife point. This is when I was 21, 22 years old. African-American male. He looks at me, takes out a knife, called me a cracker, white boy. Give me your wallet, white boy. Give me your wallet, cracker. He's got a knife. Threw my wallet to him. You're telling me that wasn't racism?
Yes, that was not racism.
So why is he looking at the color of my skin and singling me out and calling me a white boy and a cracker?
He's assuming that he can rob you because you are a quote unquote cracker and you're weak.
But I'm asking you, Stretch, how? So if a white person goes up to an African American and he uses the N-word and he says, "Give me your money," you would call that racism, wouldn't you?
The reason why, yes.
Okay, so why is my
the reason why it's racism is because, for example, if I go and rob a white man, that robbing stops there. Once I get caught, that jail will throw me under the bus.
The person who robbed me did not go to jail. I gave him my wallet, and he got off scot-free.
Hear me out. We don't run the court systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's black judges, but when it's all said and done, the buck stops at the white person who's in charge.
Let me ask. Maybe
so
when a white
person, hear me out. When a white person does something to a black person, they are part of a system that will team up with them who is in power. So when we say, give me your money, cracker, that stops there, right? If you say, give me your money, NIGGER, you have the ability to walk into my banks, to walk into my home, to call my landlord, who all look like you, stop me from housing, stop me from education. You have the power to actually determine my destiny.
Well,
black people don't have that.
Okay,
well, me calling you a cracker, that may hurt your feelings, but at the end of the day, once I get caught, I'm getting 20 years in jail.
But what if
you rob, it's statistically proven. White people do crime, they get less time than black people and brown people. That's racism.
What if you take his wallet and he can't pay his rent, and he lost his keys, so he can't get in his house, he can't get in his car, he can't go to his job, and so his life's been turned upside down as well because he lost his wallet.
And because he's white and he has privilege, when he put a GoFundMe with that story, he'll have $1 million in 10 seconds.
Well, I can only speak to you.
You have to understand, brother.
That's a gross exaggeration.
Okay, but
it's true.
Okay, but I'm giving you my personal example of what happened to me.
Here's an example. Five or 6 days ago, there was a Caucasian kid. I think he was 9 or 10 years old. He was on a school bus. And I think he was wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat. He was a Donald Trump supporter, and there were 5 African American kids that literally beat this kid pretty bad for that sole purpose. Is that racism?
That's not racism. Is that hatred? Yes.
Racism is hatred.
No, it's not.
Yes, I believe it is.
It's not. Racism there because black people can't be racist. So when we do certain things, is it fuel? You have to understand when they beat that child, that "Make America Great Again" hat to them, that package, that system hung their grandfathers. That system raped their foremothers. So them beating on that young man,
see, to me that's
angry.
ignorant. To me that's ignorant.
It's true.
It also
angry about what was done to
Hold
our
on a
people.
second. Stretch, you know I am not a Donald Trump defender. In fact, I am the last person to defend Donald Trump. But there are different reasons why people like Donald Trump. And just because you wear a MAGA hat doesn't mean you're a racist, doesn't mean you hate black people. It could mean you just like some of his policies, and there's a lot of different reasons. By the way, the number to call,
me, for example.
Right, number to call 257-5396. It's 702-257-5396. Let me ask you what I believe to be a simple question, and then we can take some more calls, Stretch, if that's all right. This is a simple question. You mean to tell me that in the history of this country, never has there been a minority or an African American that has been racist towards somebody that's white, that has never committed a crime towards somebody that is white? You mean to tell me never in the history of this country has there been an African American that committed a crime and it was a racist crime against somebody that's white? Is that what you're telling me?
Black people, Hispanic people, any marginalized group, we don't have the power to be
so
racist.
You think the answer is no? In the history of this country, you don't think there has ever been an African American that's been racist?
Because in the history of this country, we don't have any power. We don't run anything. We don't control anything to implement.
What about an African American that runs a company that will not hire somebody that's white? There are basketball coaches out there, John Thompson being one of them, that would not recruit a white basketball player. You don't think that's racist?
No.
Is Grambling University racist?
No. HBCU is not racist.
All right. Well, listen.
That's them being pro-black, just like other communities are pro them.
I try to be as fair as I can, and I know you're very passionate about this. We just disagree. I think racism is everywhere. There are white people that are racist. There are black people that are racist. There are minorities that are racist. But I want to know what you think out there. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. It's the Minister Stretch Sanders. You heard him say it himself. He doesn't think there are African Americans out there that are racist. He's saying that white people are racist, that European descent, they're racist. But you cannot be a racist if you're an African American. We have him on to share his opinions. Now it's time for you to call in and share yours. Again, that number to call is 257-5396. And let's go to Sean. Sean, you are next on the Vegas Take. You are on with the minister. Go ahead, Sean.
What's up, Sean?
Thank you for having me on. I don't think you guys should entertain this guy any longer. He's completely biased. There's no way that you could say that no other race can be racist. And that's pretty much all I got to say is you guys got to get somebody else on to talk with. This guy's so biased.
All right. Well, Sean, can I ask you a question?
You were on with it.
Okay. Sean hung up the phone. There are a lot of people that do radio shows, hosts that are extremely biased. You wouldn't tell them if you're a Trump supporter. There are plenty of, biased show hosts, Tucker TV, Fox News, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity. You're telling me they're not biased? They have hit TV shows. So just because somebody is biased certainly doesn't mean that we're not going to have them on our show because you disagree with their opinion. Stretch, go ahead.
Let me say this. He's saying I'm biased. How am I biased? To be biased means to choose sides with a predetermined decision based on the opposite of the truth. The truth is I'm going off history. So if I'm looking at the facts and I'm just saying, oh, my brother's right no matter what, but I refuse to listen to all the truth of what happened, that's bias. I'm listening to you all. I'm listening to the truth. What I'm saying is, can people of color be hateful? Yes. Can we be mean-spirited? Yes. Can we be wrong? Can we be prejudiced? Absolutely. Can we be racist? No. So I think we're using terms in the wrong way, and you're expecting me to give you an answer for a term that we probably do not really understand. So that's not racism. Racism is prejudice plus power, and I'm not going to change that. What he is thinking is I'm saying that we can't be prejudiced. We're using the word, we're taking words and we're using it wrong. For example, we all use the word homophobic, right? I use the term, but technically a phobia is a fear. But the way that the gay community uses that word, they uses that word as saying bigotry, but technically homophobia,
Stretch, we're gonna take some
anything with
calls.
a phobia is a fear.
We have about
so we're
30,
using the word the wrong way.
We have about 30 people on hold right now. You've definitely revved them up. So what I'm going to do is let's try to be a little not as long. Listen, I respect, but I want to get as many callers as I can.
This is going to be
Let's go to
rapid fire.
Rapid fire with Stretch. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
I just wanted to tell Stretch that he should really look at a dictionary and look at the definition of racism. You don't just have to be white to be a racist. Brown folks are racist. Blacks are racist. Everyone has a little bit of racism in them.
All right, Santo, we appreciate the phone call. Thank you so much. 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Why don't we go to, I believe our next caller is Tom. Tom, you are next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead. You're on with Stretch.
Hey, what's up,
thanks
Tom?
for taking my call. This goes to Stretch. He has his other people have talked about his definition. I want to know if Stretch realizes that black people invented racism and invented slavery.
All right, well, let him respond to that. We appreciate the phone call, Tom. Go ahead, Stretch.
Thank you for your call, but black people did not invent racism. We did not invent slavery. Slavery was invented by those who were of the European descent, who took us on not the Nita, the Maria, or the Pinta, but brought us on a slave ship, shackled to America to do free labor, and endured us in some of the worst pain and trauma known to man. That was not done by people that look like me. That was done based on your voice. The people look like you.
And Tom, I would actually argue that ancient Egyptians invented slavery.
257-5396.
Well, he's speaking on American slavery.
Let's go to Al. Al, you're next. You're on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hey, boss.
Yep.
How you doing?
Good.
What's up, Al?
Hey, Al.
You got to go read the dictionary, man. Your vocabulary is limited, and you got the racism word wrong. It's completely wrong. It can be blacks can be racist, whites can be racist. You're playing the Democrat game. You're just making up things as you go along and hoping everybody goes along with it.
Why are you saying the Democrat game, though, Al? Why can't you just make your point?
I'm referring to the impeachment that's going on right now.
So what does that have to do with this conversation? Why would you call him a Al, with all due respect, I kind of on your side a little bit. I disagree with Stretch when he says that African Americans cannot be racist. But why do you have to interject Democrat in it? There's many Democrats that I know that would disagree with Stretch. So I don't know if you want to retract what you just said.
Well, I'm referring to the impeachment that's going on, and I'm totally
okay. That's fine, but what does that have to do with racism?
I think it's a sham.
Okay, but what does that have to do with what? Okay, just get rid of him. We're not talking about the impeachment.
Thank
Al.
you, beloved.
You started off very
call.
good. 257-5396. Go to Sean. Sean, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
What's up, Sean?
Hey, I have a question for him.
Sure.
If I went to a country where I'm white and black people had power, such as Somalia or most countries in Africa, and they killed me, would that be racism?
All right, fair question, Sean. Stretch, go ahead and respond to that.
Sean, I'm not going to respond to that because my statements are based on American policies. That's my take. I'm speaking specifically on the American systemic system of racism. I'm not going to get into a geographical, international affairs. I'm a voice in America.
You're saying
racism.
racism in the United States only exists when it's onto African Americans and not onto other races.
What I'm saying is, in America, the only group that can operate in a system of racism is European people of that descent. Am I saying that every white person is racist? No. What I'm saying is,
I hope not, because I'm not.
This institution, who built the institutions? White people. So when we say the society doesn't let black people wear their natural hair, no, ain't the society.
When you
it's
say
white
institution,
people. They run the society.
When you say institution, do you mean the laws? Are the laws racist?
Of course they're racist. Is every law racist? Of course not, because we've had people, those who have been white as well as black, who have made a way to try to change the laws and things like that. But there are plenty of laws that the fundamental basis of that law is racist. The 13th Amendment is racist. There's plenty of things that's racist that go against black people from surviving.
What do you think? 257-5396. Go to Otis. Otis, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
I think that Minister Stretch Sanders, I think that you're outnumbered. The demographics from this radio station.
Whoa. Well, Otis, don't. No. Hold on. No, you hold on a second.
You're not going to let me talk.
I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let you talk. Otis. I'm going to let you talk. Stay on the line. I take offense to what you just said. You're saying, excuse me, now I'm going to talk because you said something that offended me. Just because, first of all, I am not a racist person. I look at Stretch. We give him a platform on this show. We can disagree, and I don't disagree with him because I'm white. So don't you play that card, okay, my friend? If you want to make your point and make your opinion, that's fine. But my opinion has nothing to do with the fact of the color of my skin. So don't you play that card and say
okay. You can get jumpy and go.
No, I'm not getting jumpy. You made an ignorant racist comment. No, I'm not getting jumpy.
It's a setup.
It's a setup. Okay, it's okay. Because you said something ignorant. That's why, Otis. Otis, do you have a problem with me because I'm white?
You know it.
Pat him down for a second.
Hey, Otis, in all fairness, Brian has probably let 300 other people not talk as well. You're one of I'm
going to ask Otis a question. Otis, do you have a problem with me because I'm white as we pod you back on? Do you have a problem with me because I'm white?
People speak on your show, but you know what? You
not even listening.
Either you're going to cut me off or you're going to listen to me.
Why don't you answer my question? You're not listening to me.
Can we let Otis talk? I want to hear Otis say.
You're not fair with your show, and you're setting.
Oh, really? I'm not fair. How am I not fair? We've given a Stretch a platform, and we're taking calls.
Listen to me, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah. Say something that's not ignorant.
You took it personal. I was talking in general.
Okay. Okay. You were talking in general.
Too many people like me to call in and agree with him. Okay.
It's okay to agree with him, but you made a generalization because I'm white and my co-host is white that he's outnumbered, and I don't appreciate that.
I'm listening to from the people that are calling in right now. Generally,
that's not me. That's not me.
One guy went totally off script. Started talking about Democrats.
Okay. You didn't say that, Otis.
Otis,
if you said that,
yes, you are right. The callers are
Otis.
The majority of the callers are not going to agree with Stretch,
Otis,
and you are.
Let's start over.
That's a true statement.
Otis,
you are the minority in that regard.
Otis, let's start over. If you said that you disagree with a bunch of the callers and maybe the demographic, and you think they are ganging up on him, okay, fine. I don't have a problem with that statement. But Otis, that's not what you said. You said the people in the studio. I took offense to that.
I didn't say the studio. Studio never came.
You said my radio station. Okay.
First of all, no, I never said that. I do know how to talk. I own my own radio station.
Oh, really? Where? Where?
I never said that.
What station do you own? What station? What station do you own? I'd like to know. I'd gladly plug your radio station. I will do that for you.
I play music. I'm not a talk show.
Okay, you just said you own your radio station. I just asked you a very. I'm glad to plug.
702.1 hit train.
I'm sorry.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, that's great. That's fine that you own your own radio station.
Congrats on that.
I'm glad you do that. I am glad to plug it for you. But let's start over here now. Go ahead and make your point.
My point is this. Minister Stretch, when he was talking about it is basically impossible for black people to be racist. We are not in a racist position. We hold no positions of power. Like, I'm not mad at you. We just, it's a hard debate right now. I don't hate you. I can't do anything to you if I didn't like you. Okay? I'm not in a position to do anything to you or take anything from you. As Stretch said, we came over here as slaves, and there's no way that we have the position or the power to do anything, to hang anything over your head, to take a job from you, to stop anything. How can you be racist? It's not about your color and your skin. It's about the position and the power that you have over anybody to be able to take away or to control.
Okay, listen, Otis, I appreciate your perspective, Otis, but I will say this. I am not racist. I had nothing to do with slavery. I don't agree with what went down. And I think to label white people as more powerful than black people, listen, Otis, listen, I just didn't like the way that conversation started. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let me ask Stretch a question first.
Because
I would actually respond to Otis.
Yeah,
Yes,
I just wanted to say we're going to break in a few minutes.
Okay.
Would you like to stay for another 10 minutes because we have a lot of people on the line that want to talk to you? Is that fair?
70 minutes of Stretch, the longest one yet. I'm excited.
Wow.
Marcus, Sam, Linda, Joe, Eric, Jessica, Santo. If you guys all patiently wait, I promise I will get to all your phone calls on the other side of the break. Go ahead, Stretch.
Okay. I just want to say that I agree with Otis. We're looking at the system because we don't control, we didn't create. How can we control what we didn't create? We didn't create the systems that are in power. So what comes with being white in this country is something that's called privilege. With that privilege, you have the power to not get treated like a black person.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to not get followed and not get stared at. And
I understand.
So that's what we're saying.
But you understand
that's
why I got a little
racism.
annoyed at the beginning of that phone call.
But I just want to be clear on what racism is. I'm not saying we can't be prejudiced. What I'm saying is I think we're using the word out of context, and that's okay. Like I said, we use the word homophobia. A phobia is a fear.
Yeah.
I still say, no, I'm not homophobic because that's the term that the LGBT community have adopted. That's the term they want.
I understand.
So if that's the term they want to use to say hatred, I adopt that term. But by definition standard, a phobia is a fear.
Sure.
So your callers may be bringing up a definition standard, but I'm going off our social standard of what racism is.
Stretch, you have been nice enough to stick around. You're going to stick around to the other side. Here's what I'm saying. Everyone that is on hold right now, I promise I will get to every single one of your phone calls. If you wait patiently, just give us a few minutes. We got to pay the bills. We're going to take a quick break. We'll return with Stretch Sanders right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is The Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, a reminder, coming up at the bottom of the hour, former Massachusetts governor and Democratic presidential candidate Deval Patrick will be joining us. But I asked the minister, Stretch Sanders, to stick around. He said some things that some might agree with, some might disagree with. He said that it is not possible for an African-American to be racist. And that generated a lot of people calling in, and we're taking your phone calls at 257-5396. Phone lines are jammed. We're going to try to get to as many as you as we can. Let's start with Jessica. Jessica, thanks for waiting on hold. You're on with Stretch.
Thanks. Just the idea that racism is exclusive to white people and there's systemic racism is not only asinine, but it's a victimhood mentality that is just so bonkers. And honestly, it's a sad situation. More Irish were actually enslaved than Black people were in the dawn of our country, and we've come leaps and bounds in fixing the ways of the world, actually, because the way of the world back then was racism was rampant in the Middle East, and it still is, and actually it's just crazy to me that you can come out with that kind of a statement.
All right, Jessica. Well, listen, I appreciate your patience waiting on hold, and I appreciate your thoughts. We have an African-American on the line that disagrees with Stretch. I want to hear him out. Let's go to Marcus. Marcus, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep, you're good, Marcus. Go ahead.
I heard you guys say that power plus prejudice equals racism. So I guess I just want to know, is he saying that that's only endemic in white folks towards blacks, or would anyone with power and prejudice of any race can be racist towards another race?
All right, Stretch, go ahead and respond to that, Marcus.
Yeah, good question, Marcus.
We appreciate your question, Marcus. Thank you for the phone call. Go ahead, Stretch. Let's get Stretch's mic on. Go ahead, Stretch.
Thank you, Marcus. Only white people can be racist in America because white people control the institutions that implement racism. They run the job markets. They run the banks. They run the educations. They run the police department. So therefore, how can I be racist? I can call you a name. It may hurt your feelings. Oh, I'm a cracker. But when it's all said and done, people that look like you run the show. So therefore, they can control how, when, how, why, where I play my role. That's racism.
But Barack
so no
Obama,
other person in power.
The president was African American. How can you say
That's
all
okay.
white people run the show when we had a black president?
He didn't run the show. He didn't run the show.
But he was the president of the United States.
Right.
That's not a powerful position.
He was elected, but he was also selected. He didn't run the show. The president doesn't really run the show. We know who really runs the show, and that's not the president, whether you white, black, brown, red, or yellow.
Right. I'm just saying there are plenty of African Americans that are pretty prominent people in this country.
But prominence doesn't. The prominent is different between being prominent and being empowered.
All right, fair enough.
Right. So he's prominent. That's known, famous.
I get your point.
But what power did he really have?
All right. 257-5396. We have one phone line open. Let's go to Brian. Brian, you are next on the Vegas Take. You're on with Stretch.
Hey, what's up, Brian?
Hey, guys. Stretch, who runs the show then?
Stretch, he's asking you who runs the show.
White people.
Oh, which white people?
It don't matter. White people run the show.
Oh, really?
The system of white supremacy runs the show.
For the record, white people do run this show. My name is Brian Shapiro. That's J.D. Sharp. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I love the split screen, the triple screen and stuff. It looks really good, guys.
Thank you. You're talking. Quickly, Brian. Brian is referring to our YouTube page right now. We stream live at the Vegas Take.
If you want to watch my scarf and Stretch's good looking outfit,
so
Brian's biker attire,
buddy.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that.
So, Brian, Stretch is saying that white people run the show. What do you say to that?
Well, it's baloney. And number two, Barack Obama didn't run the show when he's president. Barry Gordy didn't run Motown. Jay-Z isn't putting input into the NFL. Kanye isn't having any influence. They're all a victim of white people, right?
Stretch, respond to that.
I'm not even going to even entertain that because he's trying to name black people who own record companies. And when it's all said and done, Barry Gordy did run Motown. But if Barry Gordy got caught in the neighborhood where he was not recognized as Barry Gordy, he had been singing Dancing in the Streets behind a jail cell. So at the end of the day, white people as a whole run the show. This is not a system of victimization, but what it is white people as a whole hate to be exposed of what was done to black people. And whenever we do that, it's always that one that I have to say, well, Irish people was enslaved too. Come on, sister. Why not just own up to it? But because there's a guilt thing, and you have no need to be guilty, they say hit dogs holler. The truth hurt when you're guilty.
All right.
So only people who are guilty should be upset. But when you're guilty, that guilt is you fear that if black people ever come to power, we will do to you as you've done to us. And that's not the necessary demand of black people.
257-5396. We're on with the Minister Stretch Sanders. He has said some things that some might construe as controversial, that African Americans cannot be racist. Let's go to Sam. Sam, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Sam?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
How you doing, Sam?
Great. Well, listen, I just want to say, man, I'm Mexican, and for what you're saying, it doesn't make any sense. I think everybody's racist. Now, let's use the term racist. Racist really, people use that word when you say, I hate this person, or I'm prejudiced against this color of this person. But that's just your personal, that's something personal. And when you keep saying that white people they're the only ones that they're racist, no. Mexicans are racist, Asians are racist, white people are racist, everybody's racist. But again, man, we use that term racist, and just because everybody's using it, I got to use it. And it's, if I hate you, I say, well, I hate you because you're black. Well, but I'm hating you, not everybody else. Not all Mexicans hate blacks, or not all whites hate blacks.
Sure.
So that's what I think.
I get what you're saying, Sam, and I appreciate the phone call. 257-5396.
Hey, good call, Sam.
Let's go to Paul. Paul, you are next on the Vegas Take. You're on with the Minister. Go ahead, Paul.
What's up, Paul?
Hey, guys. And I'm not saying this just because of Stretch, but let me tell you, the people that cry racism the loudest, regardless of their color, are the most racist themselves.
Oh, let's let Stretch respond to that. Paul, hang on the line for me. Stretch, what do you say to that? He's saying that people that are cry racist are usually the most racist themselves. Stretch, respond to that.
Well, if he was referring to people of color, those being Native American, red, yellow, brown, and African American, once again, goes back to my original statement. We're not in power, so we cannot be racist. Now,
go ahead, Paul.
Not to sound, I don't want this to sound racist because I really don't want it to, but.
Well, you're afraid to be labeled racist.
Take the NBA, for example.
Okay.
I mean, who's running that league? I understand that Adam Silver is the commissioner, and most likely he's Jewish.
Adam Silver's definitely Jewish, and so are the majority of NBA owners and NFL owners and MLB owners.
Let me tell you something. If all the African Americans that played in the NBA left the NBA, nobody would watch it.
That's true.
Including Caucasians.
That's the world.
So you
let me ask you a question. Out of all the NBA teams, we have 20 plus. How many black owners do you have? Full share owners, not a partial owner. My point. At an NFL, how many black teams do you have that's full share owned by black people? My point. Out of the MLB, my point.
Right. You're right about that. But how much would those white people's franchises be worth if black people were not
how much would America be worth if black people just packed up right now and left? Not a dime, because we built everything in this country. So my point is, even though we built everything in this country, we built everything in this country as slaves.
Stretch, the argument is,
unfortunately, black people built it against their will. And anybody, you have to be crazy to say that what was done to black folks is not one of the worst things that's ever happened to mankind, because I feel that way. But we all built this country. And I think the problem with what's going on today is we want to come correct and we want equality. But the problem is the people who have been persecuted in the past, and I'm not just talking about people of color, but, gay, whatever, they don't just want equality. They want payback to go along with the equality, and that's what's messing everything up.
All right, Paul.
Every time we try to come correct, if it doesn't go that whatever group's way, then they cry that, it's because I'm this or that or the other.
Paul, I don't necessarily disagree with you there. Sometimes we overuse it.
It's being used as an excuse sometimes, like with Colin Kaepernick, for example. He didn't kneel when he was a starting quarterback. He kneeled when he was basically not playing.
Right.
Well, nonetheless,
it was very coincidental.
But we all wake up
the timing on that.
We all wake up at different points of our life. What I will say is, we've all contributed, most of us in this country, but this country was built off the blacks of African slaves. That's a fact. We built the White House, the Pentagon, anything that's worth looking at in this country in D.C. We built the agriculture, the cotton gins,
I think
all of that.
I think you could
built.
argue that immigrants in general, and that included anyone who went through Ellis Island, Irish, Italians. I mean, they all built everything.
I go through Ellis Island all the time, but usually I lose about $500 at the craps.
That's not building the country, though. Yeah. That's building something. I'm not saying nobody built something. I'm saying we built this country. White people, the mass of white people who are economically successful, it's because of black folks. They owned us. We don't understand it. We were property.
There's
we
definitely
wasn't people.
a contribution.
Let's open up the phone lines again.
But we built the country.
702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of this very interesting, controversial conversation, 257-5396. Again, the Minister Stretch Sanders joining us in studio. He believes that it is not possible for an African-American to be a racist. He said that several times during the show. Agree, disagree? Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you're next on the Vegas Take. You're on with the minister. Go ahead.
What's up, Joel?
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Stretch, you seem to believe this is a foregone conclusion that can't be changed. So my question to you is, what's your solution for changing things?
Well, I don't know why you got that opinion or impression. I've never said that America can't be changed. All I'm saying is, when you go to a doctor, when you go to a doctor, and you tell the doctor, I have a rash, I'm infected. Before that doctor can put anything in place, they have to first do what? An examination, whether it's an MRI, a CAT scan, or X-ray. All I'm doing here is just exposing in an X-ray form what has happened to our people. When we do that, he's a racist, a blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just exposing. White people just don't want to take no responsibility of it. I believe in healing. I have an organization. I sit as the president called All Shades United. We believe in the solidarity of the human family, but we believe in true solidarity, not this colorblind society. When I see you, I don't see black. No, we believe when you see black, that's black. If he's gay, that's gay. See everybody for who they are, except for all truths. So I believe in healing, but we would not heal until we first deal with the hurt.
You may believe in healing, but your words don't say that. Your words continue.
Brother, you're going off one statement. You don't know me personally. You're going off one statement.
All I can go by is what I'm hearing you say on the radio today.
But ask me the question.
And what I'm hearing you say is that white people are to blame for all of the ills of the world. Now,
that's your take.
In some instances,
I've never said
right. But there has to be a time when you got to give that up and move into a different realm.
But I can't give up what I'm not holding.
Especially when that logic is applied to justify violence against white people.
May I respond?
And call it not racist.
No, we're not even talking about that. I'm simply talking about civil rights for all people. To continue along the same logical path that you've been on and that others have been on just is not going to get to where we want to be, because it's continuing along that line of blaming others for the fate that people have today.
It's not blaming, it's accountability.
All right, Joel.
What do you want? Okay, so how do you want white people to account?
Brother, I'm not mad at every individual white person.
I didn't
every
say
individual
you
white person.
were.
White people.
I'm
I'm sitting in
asking
the room
you a
right now with
simple
3 white
question.
gentlemen. They didn't own slaves. I'm going, but they do indeed benefit off slavery. That's a fact.
Well, I think Joel's comments are, look, what do you think needs to change? I think we all need to change in some aspects, and we need to respect one another, not based on sexuality, not based on what they look like. Let me just give out that number one more time, 702-257-5396. We are joined by the Minister, Stretch Sanders, who's joining us in studio. He believes that white people can be racist. He believes that African Americans cannot be racist. Now, I certainly disagree with that. He's entitled to his opinion. What's yours? 257-5396.
Now, what about when it comes down to attraction? For example, if I'm not attracted to an African-American woman, is that racism?
Of course not. That's your sexual preference. That's what you like. I'm not attracted to white women.
What if you're attracted
Are white women
to
attractive? Yeah, it's a difference between attracted and attractive.
What if you're attracted to fat orange men that are obese that happen to be the president of the United
Well,
States?
that's Trumpism.
Is that racism?
No, no. But at the end of the day, it's preferences, right? If I say,
But
I don't date,
you wouldn't hold that against me, though.
Of
You
course
wouldn't
not.
call me a racist if
no,
I wasn't
you have
attracted
a right to say that you
Okay.
don't date black women.
Yeah. All right.
I
Fair
don't
enough.
date white women. That's fair enough.
2575. I don't usually date white women either. That doesn't make me racist. 702-2575. It's true, by the way. 257-5396. Go to Linda. Linda, you've been waiting very patiently on hold. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Linda?
I'm good. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Minister Stretch.
Miss Linda, how you doing?
You know, I want to look at this thing from a different angle. I think that possibly there's some miscommunication because we're talking in terms of history. We're talking about slavery and things like that, which are almost irrelevant in this particular conversation pertaining to whether or not a person is racist. It doesn't really matter whether Trump is racist or anybody else or me or Stretch. What matters is institutional systemic racism. So when you look at the outcome moving forward from slavery, you look at the outcome of institutional racism in Jim Crow, you look at it in redlining, and currently it's prevalent in the legal system. So what we see or hear, people ask all the time, how come all these white cops can kill these black people and get off with murder? That is systemic racism.
All right, Linda.
When we look at a situation like Trayvon Martin,
right?
When Martin was killed by Zimmerman, I believed that once that case went to Eric Holder, to the Department of Justice, hey, we're going to get some justice. Now we got a black president, a black DOJ. But we did not, because they said they could not declare it as a civil rights violation. So the systemic racism prevented Zimmerman from being prosecuted. That is where the real problem lies. It's not whether you or I or anyone is a racist, it's the law. The same systemic racism in U.S. domestic and foreign policy.
Can I ask a question,
why we
Linda?
see this happen.
Is it possible, Linda, that George Zimmerman, according to Florida law, did not break the law? Is that possible?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Isn't it possible, though, that in Florida, George Zimmerman may have not broken the law?
Absolutely. He had stand your ground law on his side.
Right.
That, too, is systemic racism.
Okay, I hear you, Linda. That's a valid.
Yeah, because more often than not, it's
Yeah.
used, unfortunately. The cops use it all the time now.
Mhm.
I was afraid for my life. I stood my ground. But you don't really see black people being able to say, I stood my ground.
That's a
we
fair
stand
point.
our ground, we'd be standing under the jail.
That's a fair point, Linda. And by the way, we do appreciate your call. Very good call. 257-5396 is the number to call. We are joined in studio by the Minister, Stretch Sanders. Let's go to James. James, you are next on the Vegas Take. You're on with the Minister. Go ahead.
How you doing, guys?
Good.
How you doing, James?
Hey, what's up, James?
I don't really understand this, man. Listen, I'm a black man. I live in Las Vegas now. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, man. Okay? Both of my brothers are Chicago police officers. Okay? You keep talking about racism. Why don't we talk about the black on black crime in places like Chicago?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
James,
If you really
I'm
wanna
with you.
If you really want to talk about race, why don't you talk about black people killing each other?
James, you are so right.
And Stretch, you're from Chicago as well.
I'm from the south side of Chicago.
James, hang on the line. Let's let Stretch respond to that. Go ahead,
To give
Stretch.
you my background, I'm from the south side of Chicago myself. My father, who was a Chicago police officer. I think he retired as a sergeant from 87 to 2017, for those that did not know. And for also those who may not know, I work around the clock 24/7 trying to end so-called black-on-black crime. I say so-called because black-on-black crime.
Why is it not talked about in the media? Why does Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson not talk about it?
Like I stated you before, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson don't represent all black people. And number one, they speak on whatever they feel their lane is. They're civil rights activists. That's their lane.
But
I'm not a civil rights activist. I'm not a Black Lives Matter activist. I am a person who's trying to heal the community of the social ills.
But why is it that people like James bring stuff like this up? James,
I'm on the show, brother James. I'm on the show and I'm being asked questions. So I'm discussing what's being brought up. 24/7, I'm on the clock. I'm at every housing development in Las Vegas working to end the crime in the black community. But as I go out there, I educate them, understand why you gangbanging, understand why you got guns and drugs in your hand, understand what's plagued that. That has been socially engineered due to white supremacy. White people as a whole feel superior. We feel inferior.
All right, let's let James respond to that. Go ahead, James.
I don't agree with that at all.
It's a fact.
I don't agree with that at all because what type of to the minister did a black man like my great-great-grandfather or your great-great-grandfather in 1890 or 1901, what type of life did they have in this country? I can understand those times, coming out of the Civil War, slavery. Today is no excuse. You living in the greatest country in the world. You can do and be anything you want to be in this country. If you black, white, that's all excuses. The people out here gangbanging and doing stuff because they don't want to do anything with their lives. Okay, I don't want to hear about white supremacy. I don't want to hear about the white man that's holding me down. No, you holding yourself down. You can do anything you want to do in this country as a black person. You have more rights than you ever had before in this country. Go around to these other third world countries, to Haiti or to Dominican Republic, and then you tell me about poverty. You get free education, you get free food, you get free places to stay, and you still won't take advantage of it. You're not poor in this country if you black. You held yourself back if you black because you refuse to get off your butt and do something with your life.
James, can I ask you, I think that's very well said. James, can you tell us a little bit about your background? You sound like an extremely intelligent guy. Tell us a little bit about what you did with your life, because I think I want Stretch to hear it. Go ahead.
Well, my life, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I went to public school, then I went to trade school, then I became an electrician.
And did the white man hold you back? Did the white man ever hold you back?
The white man haven't hold me back, and nobody held me back. If you can do, like I said, you can do anything you want to do or be in this country. This country is the greatest country in the world. In the late 1900s, the early 1900s, the late 1800s, yes, we had racism. Yes, it was safe. Yes, it was hard on our ancestors. But now, as an African American, there is no excuse for you. There is no excuse for you to be walking around talking about white supremacy. It's a joke. And I believe it's really I'm sorry, liberals and the Democrats trying to give African Americans an excuse. You can join the military. You can save money, go to community college, then go to the university. You can go to trade school. It's a lot of things you can do to improve yourself. But that's if you want to do it. If you want to sit back and do nothing and say, well, the white man, I can't do nothing because the white man holding me back. I can't do this because of white, because it's racism. It's racism. I tell my kids every day, you better not ever come to me and say you didn't get something or something didn't happen to you because you were black.
So in your
get out there and work hard and get it.
James, in your opinion, you're saying it's more of a byproduct of laziness and thinking that the white man is holding you back is kind of a defeatist attitude towards yourself.
It's not only a defeatist attitude. Yes, it's an excuse. Yeah. Okay, it's an excuse for you to. Yes, it's going to be hard times. Nothing is easy, but you can't sit back and say that I'm not achieving something in life because somebody is holding me back.
Your point, James, listen, your point is very well taken, and we are glad that there are people like you out there because I think you make a lot of valid points. 257-5396 the number to call. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, you're next on the Vegas.
That's pretty scary, to be honest.
What's scary?
Hey, gentlemen. How are you?
That's pretty
scary. I think listening to this conversation, I think people are now listening to what the minister is saying. I just heard a gentleman, and you know my story. Started gangbanging at 9 years old until a judge and the police put me in the military to where I became a jumper. right? 18 level, my MOS was communications and weapons, right? I debriefed the President of the United States based on military conflicts. So, but I started as a gangbanger. I think what people don't understand is what the minister is saying is that the word racism is a noun, right? It requires policies to go with it. Look at the dictionary, you can look at the word. And I think that people are not listening to what he's saying. The bottom line is Oprah Winfrey is a billionaire. She can walk into a shop and not get service because her skin is an offense. And I think that people, this man is talking now for an hour and almost a half, and everyone is yelling at him, but not listening to what he's saying because everyone gets into their corner.
All right, I'll tell you what.
I agree.
All right,
I agree.
I'll tell you what, Anthony. Here's what I'm going to do, and I appreciate the phone call. I want to give you.
You are a breath of fresh air.
I want to give you the last few minutes.
That last caller was
for
scary.
people that. Okay, well, let's talk. We have about 2 or 3 minutes. We have about 3 minutes left to go here before we got to go to break. Talk about that last caller. Talk about what you believe he's not understanding about the points you're making. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
So what I will say is that black people are not lazy. Black people are suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. And also I will say that I'm all for accountability. I don't tell black men keep blaming the white man, but I do say understand who's put you in that position, who gave you that dope, who gave you them drugs, who gave you them guns, who put you in a project. Why aren't white folks in projects? Everything is systemic. You look on images. If you Google the word right now, white is lovely, light, precious, this. Google the word black is the complete opposite. Go on Google, type in 3 white teens. You see 3 kids playing soccer. Type in 3 black teens. You see mugshots. White people got mugshots too. I'm telling you, we have been socially engineered to believe we are inferior. I'm not going to use this platform to really go into detail with the last caller because I feel like we need to have a one-on-one dialogue. He needs to be educated. He's been miseducated. He needs to be re-educated, and this is not the proper platform to do so. But I will say is that as a whole, we have problems in this country, and if we are going to heal, we have to heal properly. You can't put a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound and say you're fixed up. You have to explain who shot you, why you got shot, and how to move forward. White people and some black folks, by the last caller, they want us to move forward and hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but they don't want to deal with what has happened. I'm all for Kumbaya, but I'm also for saying let's do some x-rays, let's do some MRIs, let's do some CAT scans on the condition of not just black, but Native American people have suffered and also Hispanic people. But if you want me to use the language that's going to not hold people accountable, I cannot use that language because I am in the business of accountability and responsibility. I hold myself to that standard, and I also hold others.
All right, I will say, listen. We as a show here, we always appreciate your perspective and your opinions. A lot of the stuff you say, I agree with. Some of the stuff you say, I disagree with. But that's what makes the world go round. Obviously, we had a bunch of callers that disagree with you, but we also have some callers that agree with you as well. And that's the beauty of this type of conversation. I will say one thing about that caller who called in a few calls ago. He seems to be doing pretty well for himself. He seems to say that the white man didn't hold him down. He's got a good job. Sounds like he has a great family. So I think it is a case-by-case basis. But, Stretch, I always appreciate you coming in. Next week, I won't be here. So if I don't see you, I hope you have a great holiday, a great Christmas. And we are going to continue to monitor what eventually is going to go down on MLK Day as you plan on shutting down Fremont Street in I guess you could say the opposite of support of this homeless ordinance that was put into place. We really didn't even get a chance to talk about that. But anyway, we got to take a break. Thank you so much for being here, Stretch. That was 90 minutes of explosive radio.
That was
fun.
Lot.
All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, making some controversial comments to some Raiders fans. We'll talk about that coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take.